This is James from Real Reviews from the Rock, and this is Real Facts. Poltergeist. The horror thriller brought nightmares to audiences around the globe when it was released in 1982. Anyone who accidentally turned on a static channel after seeing the film can remember the feeling of the hair standing up on the back of their neck. The film is about a family's home being haunted by a host of demonic ghosts. These ghosts set out to take young Carol Ann Freeling, played by Heather O'Rourke. The film was directed by Tobe Hooper and starred Jo Beth Williams, Heather O'Rourke, and Craig T. Nelson. One of the film's writers was Steven Spielberg, who came up with many of the haunting scenes himself from fears he had as a child. A common belief among fans is that the film and its subsequent sequels were actually cursed. This belief has been fueled by the fact that many of the film's stars died in weird ways in the years following the film's releases. However, it's the cause of the curse that makes this real fact real interesting. Towards the middle of the first film, the mother, Diane Freeling, portrayed by Jo Beth Williams, is dragged into the family's swimming pool by the demonic forces plaguing the family's home. When in the water, she is forced to swim through numerous skeletal remains of the people buried beneath the housing project the family lives in. What Williams didn't know, along with most of the crew, was that the skeletal remains were not film props. They were in fact real skeletons that, according to Williams and Bruce Casson, the assistant prop master, were purchased from Carolina Biological, a medical and science supply company that sold human skeletons to medical schools. The revelation put most of the crew on edge and cast an eerie feeling over the remainder of production. That eerie feeling would soon turn to tragedy. In 1982, the same year the film was released, Dominique Dunn, who played Dana Freeling, the older sister of Carol Ann, was murdered by her ex-boyfriend, John Sweeney. Dunn confronted Sweeney in the driveway of her home one night in October, refusing to reconcile their relationship. In the heat of the argument, Sweeney grabbed Dunn by the neck and choked her until she was no longer conscious. Dunn would die 5 days later at the age of 22. Dunn's character did not appear in the sequels, with producers deciding to not recast out of respect for both Dunn and her family. Sweeney was sentenced to 6 years in prison, but was ultimately released after 2. Several years after the murder, he would change his name to John Mara in an attempt to hide from his past, and was not heard from again. Julian Beck, who played Reverend Kane, the religious zealot in Poltergeist 2, died before the film's release. His appearance in the film shows Beck as a tall, gauntly figure, which helped to make his character ever the more frightening. However, the result of his appearance was stomach cancer, which would take his life on September 14, 1985. Will Sampson, who appeared in Poltergeist 2 as Taylor, the Native American shaman, died a year after the release of the film. Sampson suffered from scleroderma, which is a degenerative condition that affects the heart, lungs, and skin. In 1987, Sampson underwent a heart-lung transplant and subsequently died of complications during the surgery. Over the years, several members of the production team have talked about Sampson performing an exorcism on the set of the film in an attempt to ward off evil spirits. This has led some to believe that Sampson brought the curse of the Poltergeist series upon himself. Finally, on February 1st, 1988, 12-year-old Heather O'Rourke collapsed with cardiac arrest and later died while in surgery to correct an obstruction of the bowel. In 1987, O'Rourke was diagnosed with what doctors believed to be Crohn's disease. This turned out to be a misdiagnosis, because on the day of O'Rourke's collapse, it was discovered that she was suffering from intestinal stenosis. The death of O'Rourke was sudden, unexpected, and a devastating loss. She had recently finished filming the third Poltergeist film. However, when the studio requested a reshoot of the ending, the production had to hire a body double for Carol Ann's appearance in the finale of the film. Poltergeist 3 was released on June 10, 1988, just 4 months after O'Rourke's death. The film was dedicated to O'Rourke's memory. Interestingly enough, O'Rourke and Dunn would be buried near one another in Westwood Memorial Park in Los Angeles. Were these deaths nothing more than tragedies, or was something more sinister at play?